This is a three-parter, folks. CBA's not done yet. Breanna Stewart is talking like there may be some movement in the CBA. There's still rumors floating around out there that the players could strike tomorrow. And even if they don't strike, don't show up wearing "pay us what you owe" us shirts.
Negotiating a $1 million raise by sending a superior a poem sounds like the plot of a sitcom. Yet this was the strategy the WNBA Players Association employed during the most significant contract negotiations in the history of women's sports.
I saw this and thought it had to be a joke. Judging by this, they don't care about PR disasters. This is bananas. And guys, that's me. Yeah, that's me. Come.
While the league faces potential strikes and a frozen free agency period, the union's social media presence has drawn criticism for undermining its professional standing. These actions have reportedly led to dismissal from team owners and Commissioner Adam Silver as the 30th anniversary season approaches. The controversy centers on a three-part Valentine posted by the union that described the current negotiations as a situationship. One slide included a poem requesting a proposal that values players.
I shared this and I said, no effing way. The WNBPA sends a Valentine's message. Childish negotiations by the WNBA. Yeah, what? What? Yeah.
Fans and critics question the professional judgment of using such imagery for a multi-billion-dollar business expansion. While the strategy may have been intended to engage a younger audience, the stakes involved are strictly financial and operational. As the union focused on social media, league owners moved forward with a historic financial proposal. The current offer includes a maximum base salary of $1 million, an average salary exceeding $500,000, and a minimum of $250,000. For a league that recently paid some athletes less than entry-level educators, these figures represent a substantial increase. Owners have expressed frustration that a $1 million offer was met with internet memes, suggesting the union's approach has damaged its credibility at the bargaining table.
That's crazy, immature, and just sickening that you have supposedly pro athletes. The WNBA's latest Instagram post about the latest CBA negotiations.
The core of the dispute rests on revenue-sharing structures. Players are demanding 30% of gross revenue total income before any operating expenses, such as travel or utilities, are deducted. Conversely, owners are offering 70% of net revenue, which is the profit remaining after covering charter flights, high-end accommodations, and new facilities. Management claims the union's demand would result in $700 million in losses, potentially bankrupting the league during a period of unprecedented growth. This deadlock occurs during the Caitlin Clark effect, characterized by record viewership, rising ticket prices, and the announcement of expansion teams in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia. Critics of the union leadership question if a strategy rooted in social media trolling is sabotaging the players' leverage. The professional disconnect is stark. When one side frames a high-stakes business negotiation as a casual situationship, it complicates the path toward a formal commitment. During the NBA All-Star Weekend, reports surfaced that a strike may be imminent. While Union Vice President Breanna Stewart mentioned seeing progress in the talks, the union has yet to formally respond to the league's latest proposal. If an agreement is not reached by the end of February, the 2026 season could be delayed. Currently, expansion drafts for Toronto and Portland are on hold, and free agency has effectively stalled, leaving the league in a state of paralysis. The optics of the situation present a challenge for the players. Veterans like Nneka Ogwumike and Kelsey Plum are advocating for essential improvements to housing and retirement benefits. However, critics argue these valid concerns are being overshadowed by the union's communication style. Adam Silver has called for a sense of urgency, but owners remains hesitant to engage seriously with a party that counters multi-million-dollar offers with poetry. The WNBPA has gained significant engagement on social media, but that influence has not translated to success in the boardroom. By prioritizing viral content, the union may have provided owners with a reason to stall negotiations. With the May 8th deadline approaching, the lack of a formal agreement threatens the most successful era in the league's history. If the union does not pivot toward a more traditional negotiating framework, this period of growth may be defined by a labor strike rather than athletic achievement. The financial divide deepens when examining the league's expansion fee structure. With new franchises slated for Portland, Toronto, and San Francisco, the WNBA is bringing in hundreds of millions in buy-in capital. The union argues that this influx of cash should be reflected in immediate player distributions, while the league maintains that expansion fees are capital investments intended to stabilize the long-term infrastructure of the organizations. owners point to the rising costs of private air travel, a primary demand from the players, as a massive overhead expense that eats into the very margins the players want to split. This creates a circular argument where the amenities requested by the union directly reduce the net profit pool they are negotiating to share. Behind the scenes, the role of corporate sponsors has added another layer of complexity. Major partners are reportedly concerned about the optics of a labor strike during a period of peak commercial interest. Brands that signed on to capitalize on the visibility of the Caitlin Clark era are now facing the possibility of a dark season. If the 2026 season is delayed, or if the 30th anniversary celebrations are canceled, the league risks defaulting on broadcasting contracts and sponsorship activations. These legal obligations put immense pressure on Commissioner Adam Silver to find a middle ground. Yet the league's latest offer of $1 million maximum salary suggests they feel they have already moved significantly toward the players' demands. The internal dynamics of the Players Association also reflect a generational divide. Older veterans who played for years in near obscurity for minimal pay are focused on securing long-term security, such as pension plans and post-career health insurance. In contrast, the younger stars entering the league with massive NIL valuations and high social media followings are more concerned with immediate revenue sharing and brand autonomy. This split in priorities makes it difficult for union leadership to present a unified front. When the union chooses to use situationship terminology, it may appeal to the younger demographic, but it risks alienating the veteran bloc that views collective bargaining as a formal, rigorous legal process. Logistically, the freeze on free agency has created a ripple effect across the entire basketball ecosystem. International players who typically split their time between the WNBA and European leagues are unable to sign contracts, as they don't know when the American season will begin. This uncertainty is pushing top-tier talent to sign longer, more lucrative deals in Turkey, China, and Australia, potentially draining the WNBA of its depth just as it seeks to expand to new cities. If the league cannot guarantee a start date by late spring, it may find itself with a depleted talent pool, even if a deal is eventually reached.
A three-parter: roses are red, violets are blue. We'd love a proposal that values players too.
The stalemate also impacts the 2026 WNBA draft. Collegiate players who have the option to return for an extra year of eligibility are closely watching the negotiations. If the labor dispute remains unresolved, many top prospects may choose to stay in school, where they can continue to earn through NIL deals rather than entering a professional league in the midst of a lockout. This would directly undermine the quality of the product the league is trying to sell to its new expansion markets. The momentum of the women's game is currently its greatest asset, but that momentum is fragile and relies on a consistent schedule of high-level competition. Looking at the broader economic landscape, the WNBA's struggle reflects a shift in how professional sports leagues value their labor. The transition from a growth-at-all-costs model to a sustainability model is a difficult one. Owners argue that for the league to survive another 30 years, it must maintain a healthy reserve of capital to weather future economic downturns. The union, however, sees the current surge in popularity as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to reset the baseline for player compensation. They believe that if they don't secure a high percentage of revenue now, the window of leverage will close as the novelty of the current era fades. The strike card remains the union's most powerful, yet most dangerous tool. A work stoppage during the 30th anniversary season would be a public relations nightmare for both sides. For the players, a strike means a total loss of wages and a potential backlash from a fan base that has only recently tuned in. For the owners, it means a loss of momentum that could take a decade to rebuild. The historical precedent for sports strikes is often a long period of fan resentment and declining viewership. In a league that is finally achieving mainstream cultural relevance, the cost of a dark year could be terminal for some of the less established franchises. Legal experts suggest that a mediator may be the only way to break the current deadlock. The gap between 30% of gross and 70% of net is not just a difference in numbers, it is a fundamental disagreement on the definition of a successful business. If the league is forced to open its books for a full forensic audit, as the union has requested, it could reveal exactly how much of the reported revenue is being reinvested versus how much is being pocketed by ownership groups. Conversely, such an audit might prove the owner's claims that the league is still operating at a deficit despite its high visibility. As the February deadline nears, the pressure on union leadership to change their communication strategy is mounting. The shift from viral moments to actuarial tables is necessary if they hope to close the gap with the league's negotiators. The era of the situationship must end for a professional partnership to begin. Whether the union can successfully pivot to a more traditional reporting and negotiation style will determine the fate of the 2026 season and the financial future of every player in the league. The fiscal standoff has also exposed a burgeoning rift in the league's philosophical approach to growth. While the owners argue for sustainable expansion, the idea that capital must be reinvested into the league's infrastructure to ensure it survives another 30 years, the players view this as a convenient excuse to suppressed wages during a gold rush. The union's demand for 30% of gross revenue is a play for transparency. By tethering salaries to total income rather than net profit, players are attempting to bypass the creative accounting that often characterizes professional sports. They argue that if the league can afford million-dollar expansion fees and high-end charter flights, it can afford to guarantee a larger slice of the pie to the athletes who make those investments possible. This tension is further complicated by the looming 2026 media rights deal. Industry analysts suggest the WNBA's next television contract could be worth upwards of $200 million annually, a staggering jump from previous cycles. The union knows that the terms they negotiate now will set the baseline for how that windfall is distributed. If they accept a net revenue model today, they risk being locked into a system where owners can offset record-breaking media income with increased operating expenses, effectively capping player pay even as the league's valuation skyrockets. This is the hidden math that the union's social media campaign failed to articulate, leading to the current disconnect between public perception and the cold reality of the boardroom. The logistical fallout of the frozen free agency is already being felt across the Atlantic. Traditionally, the WNBA has relied on a subsidized labor model where players earn the bulk of their income playing in elite European or Asian leagues during the winter. However, with the 2026 season in jeopardy, many top-tier international stars are hesitant to commit to WNBA training camps. If a strike occurs, these players lose their primary summer income. Conversely, if they sign long-term exclusive deals in Turkey or China to hedge their bets, the WNBA loses the depth and diversity that defines its high-level play. This talent drain is a quiet crisis that could undermine the quality of the product, just as new franchises in Toronto and Portland are trying to sell season tickets to a skeptical public. Furthermore, the Caitlin Clark effect has created an unprecedented level of scrutiny from corporate sponsors. Brands like Nike, State Farm, and Google didn't just buy airtime. They bought into the narrative of a league on the rise. A labor strike during the 30th anniversary season would be a catastrophic breach of that narrative. Sources close to the negotiations suggest that several major partners have expressed extreme concern regarding the union's unconventional communication tactics. For a Fortune 500 company, seeing a multi-billion-dollar labor dispute framed as a situationship on Instagram is not just unprofessional, it's a signal of instability that could lead to a withdrawal of marketing dollars when current contracts expire. As the February deadline approaches, the burden of proof has shifted to the WNBPA leadership. They must demonstrate that they can transition from being digital disruptors to sophisticated financial auditors. The league's offer of a $1 million maximum salary is a massive milestone, but it remains a top-heavy proposal that doesn't necessarily address the housing and retirement concerns of the rank-and-file players. To break the deadlock, the union will likely need to trade its viral engagement for a seat at the table during a full forensic audit of the league's books. Only by proving exactly where the net goes can the players hope to secure the gross they believe they deserve. The time for poetry has passed. The era of the spreadsheet has arrived.